Hoosier Trapper Outdoors is brought to you by Hoosier Trapper Supply, Leatherwood Creek Trapping Scents, HTS Productions, Hoosier Trapper Deer Scents, and Leatherwood Wildlife Art.
All right, thanks for joining us for this episode 6, season 4 of Hoosier Trapper Outdoors. On this episode, Justin and I are actually taking a second trip. If you remember on the last show, we pulled traps on the first trip. The second trip, Jake wasn't able to go. He had school. So Justin and I loaded up and went down to Arkansas again, but a completely different area that we hadn't been to before. So it was kind of like going back to our going in blind days. The terrain was the same, but completely different area. So we had that challenge, and both of us enjoyed that. So the next several shows will be based on that trip and what we caught and how we did. Also on this episode, we'll have 2 product highlights, a trap line tip, and then also our farmland location that we just started doing on the past episode. We're going to continue that for the next several, and I think you'll enjoy the show. Farmland location. It's got kind of a subtle spot right here. It's basically a low spot that was in the field. Water stood here part of the year. Crops, of course, didn't grow, and then the weeds grew up here. So, I would definitely set this. It's kind of, you got basically essentially the idea of a wasteland here with this bean field here, picked bean field. There's not a whole lot of mice and stuff like that are actually going to be living in that bean field now. I mean, it's been picked, and there's really nothing there to hold anything. So when those coyotes are coming through here, clearly they're going to pick out a place like this to come over and check out and look to see if there's any mice or birds or whatever that they can catch to eat. You got to remember, this is somewhat subtle, and to us it doesn't really look like much, but those, they're close to the ground, so this is a much bigger deal to a small animal like a coyote or whatever than it would be to a human. So clearly this is kind of a landmark. It's somewhat subtle, but definitely a good location. In this same field here, we've just to the west of me, we've got a brushy fence row. And that's actually going to be the main path to travel for those coyotes. They're going to be running that edge there. That clearly you're going to set over there. You're going to set 2-3 sets over there, depending on what sign you have or what your past history is with the location. And then you're going to come over here and maybe set a couple sets on this edge right here. And then that way you'd have this completely covered. So, you could catch them over there, but maybe it'd increase your chances of picking them up quicker if you give this another option over here, or several coyotes come through and you catch a couple, 3 over there and maybe 1 over here. So anyways, it's definitely a good consideration, a good place to look for on your line to see if you have similar spots out in the fields. One thing I'll tell you on this one does not. It's not really an issue, but a lot of times there's cockleburs growing in these kind of spots, and if there are, definitely set where the coyote or whatever you catch is not going to get into them, just get wadded up in all those cockleburs, and you'll be combing them out forever. So watch for those, and keep your sets clear of that. So anyways, keep an eye out for locations like this on your line. Round 2. All right, welcome to round 2, second trip to Arkansas. Completely new area, completely new property. Haven't ever been here before. It's kind of back to our old going in blind idea, or first time going to a place. So, even though the sets are the same, the terrain is basically the same, it is completely different property. So, we came down to this area, and it's more remote in terms of, thoroughfare traffic, I guess, and so hotels were a big issue. It took us like 4 or 5 hours to find a hotel. The big ones show up on Google, but the little ones don't, and of course the bigger ones were an hour off the area that we're in. So anyways, that proved to be quite a challenge actually in that respect too. So you can do as much homework at home as possible, but when you get to where you're going, a lot of times it's completely different. So the idea of being flexible and having your mind that you're going to have to change your game plan or make your game plan up as you go, or wait till you get here to come up with a game plan. I think that's really important, that you have that ability to change what you're doing on the spot. So
yeah.
Justin, we had got on some roads that were just crazy. They just kept deteriorating, and mud holes, and
I'd say don't rely on your smartphones these days. They're not always that smart.
No.
Go get a GPS, print some maps out, a couple different types of maps.
Yeah, even the old kind of paper maps,
Yeah,
so,
those work too.
Yeah, those work. Justin had a plan. If we got in an area and if we had issues with the vehicle or something, he had a plan to get us out of here. So what was that?
What, taking pictures?
Yeah.
We had maps to. Hopefully our buddy Jared Hearn would come to our rescue. He's probably 2 hours from here or so or better, but still no one else to call, and send him some pictures of the maps that we're looking at so he could travel basically the same way that we came in.
But anyways,
bring some backup.
So anyways, this is our first location we're going to set. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon, so we're getting a really late start. We start first thing this morning, and here it is, basically 6 hours later, and we're finally setting our first location. So we've got coyote droppings right in front of us here between us and the camera. So I guess that's a good sign, and
yeah, we're gonna make up for some lost time today. So
yeah, set till dark. See how things go.
Let's move.
All right, check day one. Hey, looks like we're getting a late start, but the sun's coming up so much earlier than it did just a couple of weeks ago, so we need to readjust. Check day one, a little after 7 this morning, so Jake's probably still at home, probably still in bed.
Poor Jake.
He couldn't come on this trip, and he keeps texting and calling, wondering what we're doing. He had to stay home to go to school, so anyways, he's a senior in high school, so obviously important that he stays home for that. So, anyways, we'll see what happens. We got 21 traps to check. We'll check those, and hopefully we got something to show you, and then set traps for the rest of the day. Get a good line going. So, we got things started.
Nothing yet. Looks like a pretty good spot.
Does look like a good spot.
A lot of tracks.
All right, lunchtime update. First day checking traps. Obviously didn't catch anything this morning. Beautiful day. It's a weekend, so a few more people out, horseback riding, all kinds of stuff. So trying to work around that. I think we checked traps, and then I think we set 16 traps since we got done checking. So we're moving along pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot to report, other than it's nice to have the nice weather. Get past the weekend, and basically things calm down. You basically got the whole place to yourself without any traffic. So one thing we'll show this afternoon, we'll show a few sets being made, and we get a lot of requests for that. So show a little more detail of that kind of stuff. So. One thing we always do, I think it's a really good idea, is set the trap and flip it off to make sure everything's working correctly. There's nothing wrong. I mean, even though you do all that at home, and you should do all that at home and shouldn't have to mess with it out here, but stranger things have happened, and you get to your set and the pan's all the way down and the trap hadn't fired. So clearly, if you had flipped the trap off, made sure everything was functioning properly, just as kind of a double checkpoint, then it's just a good way to ensure that the trap is working properly. So, and every now and then you'll find one that's not, and you'll have to mess with it. So. All right, this makes the 42nd trap for today, so it takes us up to 63 sets. It's getting dark. I don't know if we'll get any more sets in yet today. If we do, it'll only be 1 or 2. So we're going to call this the end of the day recap. So like I said, this set, we've got a old growing up fire trail here. Clearly habitat for cats to hunt birds and stuff in. So top dog bait down in the hole. And this state requires you to have your bait non-exposed, so we always stick some leaves or something in on top of it so nothing can see it. Black gold predator lure. And finicky feline. Give them a little choice of smells here. Another thing too, and we all do this, and it's kind of it's not a big deal, but it's a little bit risky too. When you put your lure on and you're going to pour it up there by the rock, if you happen to spill some lure right over where your trap is, they're going to dig at that. So it's a little risky taking your bottle and then possibly get a drip or whatever where your trap is. So I'll confess, I mean, I pull it over the trap itself often, but on occasion that it can get you into trouble. So if you get in the habit of just going around like this, then at least your trap stays free of lure. And then the last thing, we just put some urine back here on the backing, bobcat urine, and we're good to go. So we got top dog in the hole, black gold, finicky feline, and I think, if not the last set of the day, darn close to the last set of the day. So 63 sets out. Got a good day, good line to check tomorrow, and we'll looking forward to it. So.
We got our first critter. Just a set here off the main road. Kind of behind me here, got this little pine ditch line here. There's a little culvert here. Caught stuff in similar situations, so decided to set a dirt hole right here with some top dog, coyote, it's bobcat urine, and I can't remember the lure. Probably either finicky feline or black gold. I was using a lot of that on this part of the line. But we connected this coyote back here. He's hanging out. We actually got a tip from some local squirrel hunters driving by to let us know that we had something in our trap. So we'll take care of him, make a remake, and get on down the line.
This is check day 2. So far, we've checked, this makes the 29th trap, and pretty much handed to us so far. We had one trap stolen and the other trap's undisturbed, so
yeah,
it's good to see some success here. But,
starting slow.
Yep, starting slow. Check day 2. Like I said, this is completely new to us here, so anyways. Got a lot of questions about remakes, and this set was on a drag, so the animal was away from the set when he was caught. The question on this is the trap's obviously got some animal scent, whereas the trap location doesn't so much. So in the past we really haven't noticed that that's an issue. Certainly you don't want any foreign scent on the trap that's not really in the trap location area, trap bed area, but I mean, you just got to kind of live with what you have. But one nice thing about using these drags is that your trap set, in this case a dirt hole set, is undisturbed. So one thing you notice too, you saw Justin actually set the trap and then fire the trap. Certainly if you don't have anything visible that a coyote does to a set, you still need to make sure that it's mechanically working. So it's always a good idea to set, snap it off, and then reset, make sure everything's functioning. So always a good idea. So anyways, I'm going to kind of see how this plays out. Clearly, like I said, with a drag, set locations undisturbed. So we'll just have to see how the scent plays out. But,
Hope for the best.
yeah, it's like I said, over the years we haven't really noticed that has made a whole lot of difference. But yeah.
All right, we're just off the main road here, and got a set punched in right here, a little dirt hole, and as you can tell, that we got a little gray fox back here, wrapped up on a drag. Kind of got him out of the view up here for people passing by, just kind of hide our catch a little bit. Top dog bait, bobcat urine, finicky feline with some long distance. It's pretty windy. What do you think? Gray fox?
Gray fox. Still check day 2. Second gray fox. Got the coyote. So, I mean, we've obviously had some action. We're still learning this place. Obviously, it's going to take probably most of the week to get this down, but we're getting there. And basically, what we had here was an old road going up into the woods. Camp down here, and that stuff is just coming out along this road here, traveling, and we're basically right on the path of travel. So, yeah, well, cool. We'll take it. It's a nice fox, a big one. It's a big gray fox. Check day 2. It's about 12:30. Just got done eating lunch. Done checking traps. We checked 63 sets, I think, or 62. So, or I have to look at my paper. I don't remember. 62 or 63. And not too bad. 2 gray fox and a coyote. Pretty good. Certainly better than yesterday. And we'll skin this stuff up. Check or set traps for the rest of the day, and till it's dark. Looks like we've got a front coming through with some rain or something. I'm not sure what. It's pretty windy and clouding up, and it was beautiful, but
yeah, starting to cool down a little bit.
Yeah. The rest of the week looks nice. I mean, the weather looks beautiful, but for right now, something's definitely coming through. So, anyways. Keep you posted. We'll do an end of the day, let you know how many traps we got set, and go from there. Hey, when you're out here doing this stuff, and we probably won't skin at the same place any of the 9 or 10 days that we're here. So, got to improvise. This is better than the hood of my truck, which we did on the last trip. So, anyways, we got this log here, and we're going to work off of this for a workbench. So. Right height and everything. When we skin this stuff up, we always open everything up, get the legs started, and then we hang them up to finish them. So it just makes it easier than trying to open them once they're hung up. So just kind of a tip, I guess, there. But open them up first, and then skin while they're hung up. Talk about stake pullers for just a minute. These are the 2 that we offer on the website, in our catalog here at the shop. We've got the Bulldog stake puller and just a heavy duty stake puller. Both work quite well. With the advent of all the cable stakes, which are incredibly difficult to get out of the ground, both of these are quite handy to have. This one obviously works back on a pry back method like that. If the ground's somewhat muddy or whatever, sometimes it's a good idea to carry a block of wood to actually roll this back on. You can even use this on rebar. Just catch the top of the rebar stake and it pulls it out right, real easily. So a little more money than the other one, but definitely worth keeping for the days that you're pulling traps. With the cable stakes too, the standard, some of the more inexpensive ones, a lot of guys will just cut the cable, but some of them are getting kind of expensive. So if you got some way to get them out of the ground, that's definitely something to use and something to get them out of the ground. The other one is just a basic heavy duty stake puller. Obviously the trap is attached here, the cable is attached here, and then it just pries up out of the ground like that. Here again, may not be a bad idea to have a block of wood if you got a lot of mud, because that right there is going to sink into the ground when you're prying up. But this works very well too. Certainly doesn't take up as much room in your vehicle as this one here.
But I think between the two, this is probably going to give you just a little more leverage, just pry back. But both do work quite well.
All right, for this trapline tip, talk about sodium benzoate preservative. It is actually just a food grade preservative. It's used in a number of prepackaged foods. If you look at the label, it's actually lists sodium benzoate as a food, as a preservative in that food. It works quite well for preservation of bait and lure in the trapping trade. This is kind of a product that probably most of us are not going to use until late winter, early spring, maybe even early summer. But a lot of us will be taking bobcat meat, beaver meat, that type of thing now that in the trapping season. Most of us are going to cut the meat, put it in the freezer, and then deal with it after the season. But some of us, some of you may want to preserve it, during the winter time when you're actually cutting it. So typically the sodium benzoate, if you got a gallon of bait, generally start with 2 to 4 ounces of this. It normally is sold in a 1 pound or a 5 pound bag. It's a 1 pound bag, so 2 to 4 ounces, and we'll normally mix it with some hot water. Not a whole bunch of water, but try to get some of that dissolved a little bit. It won't dissolve entirely in that hot water because you probably want, you don't want to put that much water in. But that'll actually help break that down, and that'll make it act quicker. So when you stir it into the bait, it'll instead of it having to, dissolve in the bait, it'll dissolve in the water. So anyways, you stir that in, tighten your lid down. Next day, open that lid, and if you're having a lot of gas release, from as it breaks down or as it spoils, essentially, you'll get that buildup of gas in there. So if check the next day, and if it's crazy bad, then you probably need to add some more. Typically you want to go 2, 3, 4 days and then see where you're at as it has time to actually work. If it's wanting to still bubble on the sides, or if it's doing that, you definitely need to add more. And if you open the container up, you get just a slight gas release, you probably don't need to add any more. It'll probably work itself out. But if you got a lot of gas buildup still, then you'll definitely want to add more. If you've got some of that bait that it's so bad that it's actually wanting to move up the jar, then at that point you've just plain not put near enough in. So but typically 2 to 4 ounces is where I would start at a gallon, and then work off of that. So great preservative for both lure and bait making.
All right, for this product highlight, talk about our deer scent. The sun's going down, it's fall, bow season's in. Now would be the time to be sitting in a tree stand, I'll tell you. Anyways, middle of October, we're probably about 2 weeks here in Indiana, here in the upper Midwest, away from using doe and heat. When you get in Indiana, it's always Halloween is when the rut pretty much is in full swing. Pretty much that's when the switch gets flipped. Prior to that, really, doe and heat's not going to do you much good. But the doe and heat for this upcoming time of the season, 2 weeks away, this is definitely an excellent attractant for bucks. Not so much on does, but it is a good attractant for bucks. As you can see, we offer it in 4, 8, 16, 32 ounce, half gallons and gallons. We're selling you enough that you can make a difference. You can use enough to make a difference. I tell you, there is absolutely no reason to go to any store and buy a 1 or 2 ounce bottle of scent and listen to whatever they want to tell you about it. We're giving you the product here. We're giving you enough to use. We're giving you enough to make a difference. So anyways, if you haven't used it, we've been selling this stuff for years and years. We've got quite a following on it, but if you haven't used it, you might consider it. And for those of you that have been using it, certainly we've got plenty of time to get it to you. If you give us a call, we can get it shipped out the same day. I'll tell you another thing too is when the rut's in full swing, a lot of guys have found that it's quite successful to put out the lip liquor at the same time. So you've got lip liquor over here, you got doe and heat maybe at a couple different places. So the deer come through. If they're not interested in one, they may be very well interested in the other. The other thing is does will definitely check out the lip liquor, whereas the doe and heat not so much. So if you've got does hanging around or they're checking out the lip liquor, what better way to attract a buck than having a doe standing there? So anyway, something to think about, something to consider, and both work quite well. All right, our new catalog, our 2015-2016 catalog is available. It's got everything you need in it for trapping, fur handling. It's got our line of deer hunting scent in there. So if you'd like one, just give us a call. We'll be glad to take your information over the phone. You can certainly contact us through our website and request a catalog through there by way of email.
and we'll be glad to send you one. You can actually print your own catalog through our website as well, if you want to do something like that. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter, and that'll keep you kind of up to date as to what's going on.
Join us on October 30th for an all-new episode of Who's Your Trapper Outdoors.